Welcome to Rich Step Podcast, where we discuss entrepreneurship, industry trends, and the occasional book for you. Today, we'll be discussing AlphaFold 3, a protein structure prediction model that will help accelerate drug discovery and assist in scientific breakthroughs. Then we'll be discussing OpenAI's Chat GPT-4o, a recent announcement as of today, which will be a multimodal AI model that will allow the user to interact with ChatGPT with vision, voice, sharing your screen like a Teams meeting, and also the normal text capabilities. Before we dive in, I'm Dalton. I've got a bit of a massive background in programming, data science, and insurance. Offline, you can find me building my side business, or Lost in a Good Book. You can listen to the podcast in video or audio format on YouTube. If audio is more your thing, you can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Today, we'll be discussing AlphaFold 3 and Chat GPT-4o. AlphaFold 3 is an iteration of AlphaFold 2. AlphaFold 2 was submitted in 2021 as a research paper. It was a notable paper, to say the least, with over 15,000 citations, which, if you're not familiar with research papers, over a couple hundred is a lot. So 15,000 is huge. So it was a very popular paper and had a breakthrough in the approach of doing drug research or DNA research or these kind of drug interactions for drug testing. Was they're using machine learning instead of a physics-based model. At the time, physics-based models were the standard, and AlphaFold 2 kind of questioned the standard with their results. Their results were better than not AlphaFold 2. AlphaFold 2 had good results, but hadn't outperformed a physics-based model. But AlphaFold 2 was good at many different areas of this research. So the physics-based models were good at like one thing, like, okay, like this lipid interacts with X things, and this is how this is done. Whereas AlphaFold 2 could do, lipids, it could do proteins, it could do DNA structures. So it was able to do many things, but just not as good as a physics-based model. With AlphaFold 3, that has changed. And so AlphaFold 3 becomes the first model that has beat a physics-based model, which is huge with this whole AI thing going on. This is something else. This is cool. If you think so. No, honestly, though, I think it's pretty cool because the information is available for public use, but not necessarily for commercial use. So it's open source. You can check it out. And if you're curious and you want to do your own studies, you can. Where you get that knowledge, I don't know, but it's there for you. AlphaFold 3 has significant improvements from AlphaFold 2. AlphaFold 2 to AlphaFold 3, many of the improvements were 50% or above in all areas. And now it can interact or predict interactions with lipids. How that all looks and feels on their website, I have no idea. I did a demo before a pre-demo on this. I did a pre-demo before I did this podcast. And you're supposed to be able to see all these things and how they interact on this 3D structure that's generated. I have no idea what I'm looking at, but it looks really cool, and it's cool that I can click around and I can spin the thing around and look at it and zoom in, zoom out. Other than that, I don't know. But it's able to handle more complex systems. It has a new architecture, which I thought was interesting. They switched to a diffusion-based architecture, which is different from their transformer-based architecture approach. And the previous model, it was using kind of it would map out the points. Like the way that it was explained how the previous model worked was, think about a social network. and you kind of just map out everyone who's friends with everyone. And then you have this huge web diagram. And then from that huge web diagram of all your friends and your friends of friends and their friends of friends all linked together in this social network web, then you would create your 3D structure graph. Now it uses the diffusion, so it kind of slowly iterates upon itself like a neural network, and then progressively gets better with each round of the layers, and then generates this 3D structure using pairs instead of mapping out all the interactions. It just pairs them up. And this approach is supposed to be, 1, more accurate, 2, faster. So with it being more accurate and faster, it's supposed to be able to handle more complex interactions. With that comes, they have this increased scalability, comes faster processing of the structures. And so apparently it can predict dynamics that would normally take weeks or even months to do testing on in a couple hours. The testing that I did, and I did simple tests because I just did what they gave me as examples. Like when you open up one of those AI systems, kind of gives you example prompts like, what if a zebra was wearing a clown? Like, generate this image. It's kind of what I did. I forgot which one I did, but I did a protein RNA, and it kind of generated the structure for me. But I just did those examples, what I was saying, and the example generated, I think, like in 10 minutes. So it takes some time. I don't know how long it would take for a really long, complex structure. On the high level stuff, the improvements to AlphaFold 3, the release of this, the only concern that we have is it's owned solely by Isomorphic Labs. So Google's putting in a lot of value on this product. And so they spun up a company called Isomorphic Labs, which has sole ownership of AlphaFold 3. Google is known and one of the key advocates, including Meta, for open sourcing their algorithms, their products. A lot of their stuff is open source. Their languages they use, same thing with Meta. And so when they don't open source something, it is because they find high value in this product. And so they're going to go commercially with this. And so if it's that valuable, then I think it's worth upwards of billions of dollars, because I understand that they have kind of an internal dialogue at the company with product managers and developers that they kill off, because a lot of people were getting upset with Google, and they said, like, listen, if a product isn't worth, if we can't predict that it'll be worth over 10 billion, we don't necessarily have interest. And it might be a great startup company or some other company, but it's not a company of Google. And so Google works on these big problems, and they spread out their resources and kind of have these bets. And of these bets that hit, like AlphaFold, there is, hundreds that don't hit at all. But AlphaFold is they're swinging for the fence, and they're hitting it big time, especially with AlphaFold 2 and then AlphaFold 3. These things will help accelerate new drug discoveries. It will help expedite drug testing, and it will enhance the discovery of the biotechnology, where they're design, new molecules and materials for these certain projects. And if we just talk about just the value creation, they'll give drug companies, and I don't know if it's Google starts making drug companies, or they just start working on licensing AlphaFold 3, or if they plan on maybe having some partnerships with leading drug companies. I don't know what they're going to do. They haven't announced any plans yet. Well, we do know that Isomorphic Labs owns DeepMind. This product will give accelerated timelines. It will improve drug safety. It will allow drug discovery. We'll have an enhanced understanding of biological systems. It shifts the dynamic from physics-based models being the leading industry standard for drug discovery and testing to now machine learning models. It positions Google and DeepMind to very favorably in becoming the leadership in AI for drug discovery. So Google has solidified itself as the leader in drug discovery using AI. They have very good commercialization opportunities with Isomorphic Labs. They can license it to pharmaceutical companies. They could do it for research institutions, biotechs, and then so they could generate revenue there. They could also do this, strategic partnerships. They could partner with, key pharmaceutical companies to, further drug discovery and development. There's a lot of different routes that they could take, but from the paper and from other people who are saying, they're predicting, and this is just predictions, this is not solid information, but they say like, reduce drug discovery costs by 50 plus percent, accelerating drug development timelines by 2 to 5 years. And so I think that would translate into saving billions of dollars consistently for these large companies where if you times that by per drug that they discover and then times that by the drug development timeline of what it normally is and reducing it by that much, I think that it's worth a lot of money. But who knows? So let's get into it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I'm all caught up in this AlphaFold this, Alpha that. AlphaFold server. Let's go over here. Sharing my screen now. Okay, so I already have a pre-edited, or I already sent in the DNA sequence of this. And so we're going to we're going to continue, preview our job. We're going to submit our job here. And so this is going to run in the background. And we get on this website. We're in beta right now. I just ran a job for everyone. So I've got 9 jobs remaining. And while that job's running, I think it already ran. Open results. Wow, that was really fast. That was really faster than the other one. Okay, so this one's less complex than the other one. That's why. Okay, so whatever this is, I asked the internet for a DNA example, and this is what I have. So if you guys are listening to the podcast, we're in the live demo section. I went on AlphaFold server. AlphaFold server allows you to input these sequences, and so I put in the DNA sequence for, I guess, this part of DNA, and then it generates this 3D model that you can scroll around on and zoom in, zoom out, and it tells you the confidence of the generation. And right now I've got I've just got confidence on 2 pieces, and then I have low confidence on majority of it. But this one was really small, so that's why it was quick. But this other job I have, the protein RNA ion, PD8AW3. Open this up. This is really cool. This thing is crazy. It's something else. There's a lot going on this, and apparently you're supposed to be able to tell like what is what. I have no idea. I just think it looks cool. If you can't see it, it kind of looks like this long strand of continuous folding, springy stuff with different colors, and the different colors mean the confidence of which AlphaFold has on the 3D structure it generated. And then it generates the sequences of the RNA, the protein, and the ion. So It's pretty cool. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, so now we're going to transition over to Chat GPT 4o. So Chat GPT 4o is this new model that was announced today in a live demo. And I think it was kind of a precursor of an interview that Sam Altman had with the All In podcast group, which I think was on Friday of last week or Saturday, something like that. It was recent. And they were asking them, okay, when is ChatGPT 5 coming out? When is this coming out? And he was like, well, honestly, I think we need to reevaluate how we're doing these models. I think that instead of having these large models, we should just iteratively do an iterative approach to these releases. So it's not ChatGPT 4, ChatGPT 5, ChatGPT 6. It is ChatGPT. And that's our model, and we slowly upgrade it. And so then he was asked about, okay, well, what about AI interaction? Like when AI gets super advanced, how would you want it to be? And there is kind of this independent AI approach. There is this AI agent where the agent would just do whatever you want and then go on its own and have no visibility of what it's doing. And maybe it interacts with companies with APIs or orders stuff on its own. It goes on the website, logs in, does its thing. And then there's also this other approach that Sam was talking about where the AI is integrated with you on your phone or your computer and can see what you see and can navigate the human world, because the world is built for humans, and it makes more sense for you to be able to see what the AI is doing. It makes the user more comfortable, more interactivity, and there's a lot of information that's lost if you can't visualize it. And the example that Sam gave was, okay, what if you ask ChatGPT to order you an Uber and then it does it via API? Like, how do you know how far away the driver is when you're ordering it? Because that changes, okay, do I order it now or do I order it in 20 minutes? What are the options for pricing? What cars should I get? Like, do I need an XL or is the prices similar? So just get an XL or what? Where is the driver on the map when you order the Uber? And so there's all this information that would be a pain to send back and forth when the user, the human in this case, can just look at their phone and see everything. All that information is visual. You could see the driver on the map. You could see the different routes. You could see all the different prices. And so instead of building an additional world for this AI to interact within the human world, Sam was suggesting, okay, just make the AI be able to live and interact in the human world versus building a separate structure for them to interact. So I think that makes sense. And that kind of follows what was demoed today with ChatGPT 0. ChatGPT 0 is an app enhancement where you can talk to ChatGPT 0. You can talk to the app or ChatGPT, and then you can do things like live translation. You can talk about your feelings, or in the demo they had a video capability, or not a video, but you could flip your camera and you could show in real time ChatGPT what you're doing, and they solved a linear math equation together. And ChatGPT helped the user through solving the equation step by step. Like, I think it was like something like 4 or 3x plus 1 equals 4. That was the equation. And then it show the AI ChatGPT, hey, I need help solving this equation. How can I go about doing that? And then it would say, oh, have you thought about removing the constants and putting them all on one side. And then he's like, okay, well, I think I have to subtract 1 from each side. And then ChatGPT's like, oh, yeah, of course, that's the right idea. And then they do that, and then they're like, okay, now I've just got 3x and 3. What do I do now? And they're like, okay, well, what's the opposite of multiplication? And they're like, adding? And they're like, close, not really. You want to do division. And so they divide it, get the x equals 3. Once it does that, then ChatGPT's like, oh, wow, you got it. You're awesome. Being able to do that on the fly is huge. It's crazy. And then they also did something where they reversed the camera and put it on his face. And they said, hey, can you tell me my emotions today? How I'm feeling? And the guy's smiling. I mean, it's pretty easy, but it has to read know that it's a human face, know that, when your eyes are kind of closed and you've got a big smile on your face, that you're really happy. And do that real time. And it did make some mistakes, like, at one point it was trying to say, oh, wow, you look great. And it was like a piece of wood that he showed the camera, and it had a glimpse of that. And then it started talking like, oh, wow, you look great, Charles, or whoever. And he's like, oh, no, that's not me. That's just a piece of wood. And then he's like, oh, I got too excited there. Oh, now I see you. Stuff like that, which is really cool. I think it's great. And then they demoed a desktop app, where in real time with your voice, you could interact with this AI agent while sharing a screen. And so he was asking it programming questions and troubleshooting what to do with the script and how could they change the shape of the graph. They use, I think, a foo method with the smoothing or running average smoothing of the running average for temperatures, which is normal. They normally do like a 5 weeks, like running average, and then you smooth it out so it's not as jumpy. Anyways, he was demoing it with this script and asking the AI XYZ about the script, and it was answering it, and it was scrolling to a new part of the script, and it was explaining the script like verbatim, like really good stuff on the fly. It has a human-like voice, the ability to interact with vision and your voice. I think that people feel, and I think that having voice capabilities for these AI agents is huge. When I was using Google's Gemini online, it was able to use voice, but it's not on my phone. It's really nice where it feels more natural. But to be able to do that on your phone, your computer, and not only can you do that, you can also be like, hey, what is this? And it will be able to tell you. You turn on your camera and it will tell you what's going on, or how should I solve this thing, is huge. It's great that this is the way it's going, because that's how it's going right now with the wearables and what Meta's doing, and I think there's some conversations with Apple, with OpenAI and Google integrating one of their models. I think they're both fighting for that position. Who knows who it is? I'm not sure. But it has this natural voice and this approachable feeling of being able to interact with something, sharing your screen. People do this nonstop all the day, every day, with people they work remote with or when they're in school. It's something that I think is very big for OpenAI. And it kind of, I say this, it reveals like where they want to go. And they want to be a piece of your phone. They want a piece of your computer. And so they want to be everywhere. And they want to be accessible wherever you are. But I don't necessarily think that they want to make their own device. But they can have this extension of your device that you're paying for. But I think that if they're going to get more advanced models, they'll have to figure out either reducing the models like how Meta does it, where they have a reduced model for their wearables and a reduced model for, some stuff that they do on WhatsApp or things like that. They will have to figure out the model sizes because ChatGPT-4 is huge, and I don't know if it's efficient for them to be running that constantly with their hardware because it gets really expensive. And that's the main reason why they don't have a free ChatGPT-4 is because of the expenses of running the requests constantly from users. As the model is much more complex, it's, I think over a trillion parameters. I think it's like 500 billion models, or a little bit more. It's not very clear because they don't announce it, but from what they said, that the difference between 3 and 4, people have assumed, and AI researchers have confirmed that it's like around that area, which is too much to put on your phone, too much space. They also talked about allowing, for the first time, custom chatbots for free users, which is something that was only available to paid users, and paid users have to pay $20 a month. I think that if you're questioning whether you should do it or not, you should consider how much you're paying on things that don't save you time. I don't know it depends on what you're doing, but if you have something in your life where you're constantly doing it and it needs to be in the same format, you can use an AI bot to do this. I use Meta AI daily to do questions in my personal life or to answer things. I also use it to help me make IT tickets, format my notes. It does a lot. And then I can ask it coding questions. Meta's free. OpenAI is good too. I just appreciate Meta's. I just think Meta's right now is the best for a free version, but I also have a paid subscription to OpenAI because I just have a lot of historical stuff that I've worked on for a long time, and I don't want to lose it. So I'm kind of holding on to the paid version. So we'll see. We'll see if it's worthy of a paid version in late summer. I think that's when they're going to announce ChatGPT 5. So who knows? Conclusion, we discussed AlphaFold 3. We talked about ChatGPT 4o. We talked about the potential of AlphaFold 3 and how it's going to change and expedite drug discovery and testing. And then we briefly talked about ChatGPT 4o and what that will be doing for users and what's coming to users in a couple of weeks. I don't have that much information about it, as stated, that this was something that was announced and demoed like 5 hours ago. So there isn't much information besides what they demoed. And I haven't been able to try it out myself, but we will be doing that on the podcast 100%, no question. So I encourage everyone to go on AlphaFoldServer.com. I'll put the link in the show notes. It's going to come up as like googlei.sandbox.google.com. I think that they changed the domain name. It was normally AlphaFoldServer.com. If you click on it, if you type in AlphaFoldServer.com on Google, that's the link. It's the first link. Or you could use the link in the show links on the show notes that I'll have in there. And there's also a link to AlphaFold 3 and like the blog of what was discussed, and kind of a link to the research paper if you want to read it. There is also a link to OpenAI, ChatGPT 4o, and their demo. They've got a lot of videos demoing like the capabilities of what they're talking about with like live translation and all these other things. There's also a comparison chart for ChatGPT 4o that I'll try to get in the show notes. I don't know if Spotify, YouTube, they allow you to put in a JPEG in the show notes. I'm not sure, but I encourage everyone to stay involved, stay learning, and interact with the show. And if you enjoy this content, give a subscribe or like. Anything like that helps the algorithm. And if you really enjoy, you can go on and support it on Facebook or YouTube, or not Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. That is something I've recently been doing as I am trying to learn, and it's one of the things we'll be talking about in the coming episodes, is building a community on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm doing a course by Facebook, or I guess Meta now. I'm doing a Meta course on the Facebook blueprint. And so there's a whole bunch of different courses that you can do, and it talks about how to proper marketing and, growing a community on Facebook. And I think it'd be something good to do because I want to learn it, and it'd be beneficial for me to share that with the group. And so that will be coming. I'll check it out. I think that's what I want to talk about in the coming weeks. And so I'm going to do some discovery. And if you hear about it in an episode, it's because it was useful. That being said, have a great day, night, or wherever you are in the world. Have a great day. Awesome. Goodbye. Bye.